Hello. Is this on?
Hello.
Yes,
I think so. Okay, apparently we're starting a little bit early because loads of you turned up, which is nice. Thank you for that. You're not here for me, obviously. I'm Chris Bratt from Eurogamer, but more importantly, I'm joined by Phil and Ollie from Ghost Town Games, who went and made Overcooked.
We only gone and went and made Overcooked.
I know, right?
Yeah.
In fact, you're still making it right now because downstairs you're sort of demoing an early version of Overcooked on Switch.
Yes, that's it. Yeah, no, we haven't really stopped making it for the past 2 years.
Trying,
have we?
keep trying to stop. We're ported to Switch at the moment, and other updates.
How's that going? So I think I remember seeing one of the big selling points, other than it being on Nintendo's nice new console, is that like the Rumble would allow you to slosh soup or get the feeling that you are doing that.
The Switch has the HD Rumble functionality, so we're looking at trying to incorporate that into the game. The demo downstairs doesn't currently do this.
Okay, no soup sloshing.
You
Yeah.
have to rumble it yourself downstairs.
Yeah, you
just
have
to
to
physically imagine it. Yeah.
But eventually, yes. We only had the console about 3 weeks, I think.
You've had the console about 3 weeks.
Yeah, I think
and it's already
right.
working. I don't know how games are made. Let me be very clear. But that sounds like not very much time, and you've got a playable build.
Because Ollie does the code and I do the art and design. When people come up to me and say how easy was it, I'm always like, it was so easy.
so easy.
It
Yeah,
was
it's great. I
really
just
relaxing.
hung around for
You
a bit,
change some
actually.
of the icons and it magically works. It's great.
We were lucky. I think
Okay.
it's the time frame. I think we found out we were doing this about a week ago. We were doing Rest. Yeah. And it was like, oh, okay, we'll get that working then.
Cool. Well, good job. I guess we should start with where this all started, actually. Can you remember exactly when Overcooked became an idea that you had and a game that you wanted to make?
Really? I don't remember like an exact date or anything like that. I
Yeah,
know
there
that
was a lot of games we made before it, I think, of trying to do local multiplayer.
yeah. So me and Ollie used to work at Frontier Developments, and we used to meet up at lunchtimes with a load of our friends, and we used to play any sort of local, not co-op games, but local multiplayer games that we could get our hands on. So we played like Towerfall and
Storage Inc.
Storage
Always
Inc.
named
was a
after
great
Storage
one. And I think it was somewhere in there that we were just like, well, there's not enough of these games, and there's certainly not enough co-op games. So there was a sort of germ there, and we did quite a few different sort of cooperative prototypes at that time.
We tried a lot of demos. We were trying to aim at getting something where players are constantly doing something at the same time rather than chasing for loot or combat type games. And there aren't very many of those, and it was trying to find a context for that worked and a game loop that was like tight enough. And cooking just sort of became the one that made sense because Phil did some work in kitchens. And
That was the anecdote that I wanted. You used to work in a kitchen.
Yes,
and,
I did.
And that led to Overcooked. What exactly were you drawing upon there? Did you work for a very angry chef? Were you the very angry chef?
I don't think there's anything other than angry chefs, right? I feel like that's... I was never allowed anywhere near the food, though. So I was like... I say I worked in a kitchen, but I was pot washing. So
I was a pot washer?
Yeah.
It's a good job.
But you get to witness all of the sort of... I want to say camaraderie, but that makes it sound nicer than it actually is. But you get to witness a lot of people shouting at each other and trying to communicate and trying to organize themselves to, get this dish out within a time limit. So there's aspects of that. I think the great thing about cooking is just that most people come to the game, they have some knowledge of like how a pizza is made or how a burger is made. They're sort of like, there is dough, there is tomato, and there is cheese, which really helps because it means we don't really need to teach them that much. And then the game becomes more about like communication and about how you work as a team than it is like how good is your memory or how good are your cooking skills.
Yeah, I remember when you guys came to demo it for Eurogamer a while ago now, but it very quickly became apparent why this game was going to be great because we played, there's a few people from Eurogamer, and there's a man called Christian Donlan who I'm just absolutely in love with. He's like the nicest, sweetest person I've ever met. And I shouted at him a lot when I was playing that game, just like really badly.
It was cruel, yeah. No, we thought we'd
really
we'd caused a rift there. It was kind of bad. We were like, I don't think Eurogamer are going to be here next year. I think.
Yeah, but I think, it seems like you at least did capture some of that, kitchen, not camaraderie that you were after.
Yeah, I think, the key to it is like there is too much stuff. There are too many tasks for the number of people. So you can't fall into like your little silo of being like, oh, I'm just going to chop onions because you end up, there's no dishes because no one's suddenly washing and that kind of thing.
I think that's my favorite moment with the game is when everyone sort of says, right, here's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You're going to do the shopping, I'm going to watch the pot. And then partway into it, you're just like, well, actually, my pot's partway through cooking. I'll just go and help out with the dishes. And then you get under someone's feet and they just,
Suddenly
rage
people
ensues.
don't think the other person's good enough, so they'll take over their job, and then it just becomes chaos.
It's bizarre because I find that people get angrier playing a cooperative game than they do when they're competing.
Yeah.
I think
Absolutely.
Something you mentioned to me earlier on was that the original prototype for Overcooked was a little more difficult and perhaps too difficult. Can you describe that in any way?
I think it's just that there was a lot of basically there was no help whatsoever.
Yeah.
And you could do whatever you wanted pretty much.
Yeah.
So you would chop a bun and you might add a burger to it, and then you might add another burger to it, and 16 more burgers, and we had these icons stacking up. Or you might take something might set on fire, and you take the fire extinguisher and you throw it in the bin, and it's gone. Like now the level is just on fire. Which actually we were kind of tempted to leave in, because I was just like, you know what, you've just thrown away the fire extinguisher.
This is on you.
We were expecting to happen at that point, yeah. But yeah, there is a part of me that would like to just take all the restrictions away and just let people a really hardcore version of it.
Yeah,
the Dark Souls of cooking games. You know?
It's very different.
Yeah.
How did you find that balance though? Because as you said, like the appeal of Overcooked is that there's always too much stuff to really manage, but you don't want it to be too overwhelming. How did you get to the point in which it just seemed to fit?
I mean, a lot of user testing. I think the first thing we did really early on, when we had a very simple prototype, was to go to there was a game festival in Norwich we went to, and we played the game with a load of random people who some of them never played games before, and that's fantastic. And I would advise anyone who is an indie developer to take your game as early as you have a functioning game loop and get people to play it, because you'll discover all of the ways that it is a bad idea and all of the ways that it is a good idea.
Right, sure. Yeah. I'm glad you mentioned user testing, actually, because there's a slightly funny thing in the fact that you guys have made a co-op game for 1 to 4 players.
Yes.
There are 2 of you, which is less than 4, but also like when you were working on it, apparently you had exactly 3 PlayStation controllers available to you, which is also less than 4, which is the number that we're sort of aiming for here.
Yeah,
the hell?
There was a wonderful moment where we got a bug back that was like you could only recreate with 4 controllers, and we're like, that's fine, we'll just plug in all 4 of our PlayStation controllers.
That we own, obviously, because we're game developers.
Yeah. And we're like, where's the 4th? We don't own one. There was a lot of difficulties associated with the fact that there's just 2 of us making the game, and yet you're trying to balance the scores for a 4-player game.
Do you remember recording a trailer and how hard it was to record?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
So, we've got the trailer, the camera set up for all the shots we want. A digital camera, that is, and
so it's just an animated camera in Unity, so it just moves across the scene. You're still having to act the trailer, but there's 2 of us, and it's a
so that's kind of where the split thing came in.
You had to fake a 4-player game with the 2 of you.
Yeah, if you look really closely at some of the early trailers, you'll notice that some of the players are moving like in sync, but like kind of opposite to each other.
Are we talking like you had to control, like a controller in each hand, or that you were like
at
jumping
one point? Yeah, and we're sort of moving the
I was trying to do that
between them.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
this is how games are made.
Not sure if it's how they should be made.
It was very ghetto.
Actually, a lot of the shots in the trailer as well, they're just spinning on the spot, because that's nice and easy to do.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So yeah, you want to get across the fact that the player is freaking out in that moment, but in reality, you would just found that easier than actually doing both controllers. I like that an awful lot.
Yeah.
Something else that I really like, and it's on your T-shirts right now, is this is the original logo for Overcooked, right? Yes. Or one of the early ones. And it's got a naked bum on it, is all I'm going to say. It's got like a naked bottom right there.
Yeah.
I've since learned that you've had to scrap that from the sort of official Overcooked logo.
Yeah,
why did you need to do that?
It was a really sad day, wasn't it? Yeah. Well, we basically discovered that our age rating, I think it was just in America.
Just in America.
Would have been raised by like 10 years.
Yeah.
What? Whoa, okay, man.
Just for that.
Is that how long it takes to learn that people have naked bottoms?
Apparently
okay.
so.
Until the age of 14, apparently, is
right.
what it becomes.
Then you're allowed to.
You can't see your own bum.
It's not a particularly like sexy bum. Like it's fine. It's cool.
I don't know what was going on in their heads, but yeah, in America that's not a thing. Just in the logo.
We found this out when so I was out at E3 demoing the game, and Ollie was back doing dev bits and pieces, and we had to hurriedly sort of remove it from our trailers.
Oh yeah, because it had to be removed
everywhere
because it's in the logo.
Did someone send you an email that was like, "Hi, I work for like the ESRB or like Peggy," and like, we're not crazy about the bum, you know? Like, that's going to add a few years, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, pretty much. We did. We got this, the big ESRB form that you get back, and just everything's green and nice and there was just this partial nudity. I think there was someone at the ESRB was just like,
yeah, not crazy about that.
Or very almost took a stand. Very almost was like, no, just make it 14. It's really stupid. Yeah.
I feel like in some way you are being defiant by still wearing the T-shirts with the original logo.
Actually, we
Age ratings, who cares?
We never had the money to print some new ones.
Oh my god. I'm enjoying this panel just because of the reality of making games is becoming very apparent. It's like free controllers, like haphazardly trying to make a trailer, you get one shot of the T-shirts.
Yeah, we got down to zero pounds during the development of this game.
Sure, absolutely.
I should say it was all developed and is still being developed. I like saying that. You know, it was developed in my front room. Ollie would come around, but it's still being developed that way. It's like
it's
not
still
like
in a spare room now. We've moved upstairs.
That's true.
Like
we are quite literally going up in the world. So that's good.
Oh, sorry. Did you guys plan that? Because that was excellent.
No.
So I guess we can open up to some questions now, and if anyone has them. But I guess just as a final one, so the Overcooked is like content complete now, right? Other than the soup slushing. Like, looking back at the journey you've been on and the fact that Overcooked just blew up and did once again prove that local co-op is super popular and everyone likes it. Well done.
Thank you.
What's it like, sort of retrospectively, looking back at that game? How do you feel about it?
I mean, it's sort of unbelievable that anyone other than us has played it.
Yeah, I still find it really hard at these conventions that people say, "Oh, congratulations on Overcooked." I always think like, "Oh God, did we accidentally release a build to someone that we didn't expect to?" It's like, no, it's out there.
I just assume everyone's just being nice, and that it's all just like they're pretending.
I don't know. I tried to come down and play like the Switch version earlier, and that's a lot of people playing your game, man.
Yeah, it's a bit
pretty rammed.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, I guess we can open up to some questions. Is there a microphone that doing the rounds? Doesn't look like it, so maybe I should just go out into the crowd and do that. Does anyone have any questions? Raise your hand, and I'll run over. Oh, I've made this really awkward now, haven't I? I was too direct. I should have just kept it chill. Okay, cool. Right. Oh, this is excellent. Just sorry, very sorry. Oh God. Oh my God, this is so unprofessional. Hello.
Was there anything, bar what you previously talked about, which you cut from the game but you really wanted to keep in?
There was a point in development where because the game is playable with like 1 to 4 players, there were certain levels that would only function in 4 players.
Yeah.
So you'd be in completely different sections, and it was all about passing something in a kind of circle motion. But because we couldn't really make that work in 3-player or 2-player, that some of those levels had to get lost. That was a bit of a shame.
Yeah.
We had
8-player levels.
I was going to say, we had a very early prototype which had 8 players that you could do as well.
You could play half the controllers on 4 controllers for 8 people, which we did at conventions a couple of times, and it was great. But then we sort of thought about how you would have to redesign everything.
All the UI would have just been...
And there's too many icons already, and it would just be so many icons, and everything would have to be so... Yeah, it didn't work.
Yeah.
That was a shame. It would have been nice to get that to work, but yeah.
Cool.
And the bum.
And the bum.
And the bum, yeah, obviously. Anyone else? Oh, that was very well timed, wasn't it? Hello.
Hi. I've just played it for the first time downstairs.
Cool.
I really enjoyed it. I selected the raccoon character as my character, and then when it started, I was surprised to find I was in a wheelchair.
Oh, right, yeah.
So there is quite a diverse range of characters, and I was just wondering how you came to the decision of the different genders and species and I'm thinking of the word, but the different characters, basically.
There was a really dark conversation, wasn't there, where we were choosing because we wanted to have a character in a wheelchair, and we were debating which of the characters was going to be in a wheelchair, and that was really difficult to be like, select.
Yeah, you're going to be in a wheelchair now, raccoon.
But no, we just wanted it to be as diverse as possible, really. I don't think there was anything more than that. I couldn't say specifically where any of the influence for any of the characters came from, except for the ginger cat, which is based on my cat at home.
There's a bit of animals, and the sort of more fantasy-like characters that are in it are great because they are representative of everyone, which is quite nice. Because people are able to identify with an animal regardless, because you don't know the gender of the animal characters. You don't know the gender of Boxhead.
Yeah, the robot or the dinosaur.
Or the robots or the dinosaurs, which is quite nice for representing everybody. Because I think particularly for a game where you're going to have to play you're playing with people that you know, and you're all coming together, it's really nice to be able to identify with the characters you play as. So I think it's really important that everyone feels included, so that you can get people to play your local co-op with you.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that you feel there.
Cool. Anyone else? Oh, over there. I'll just. Oh, this was not the right way to go. Yep. Sorry. Very sorry. Hello.
From a development standpoint, what were some of the major things that Team 17 like really helped you guys out on that you're like so grateful for?
QA was a big one. We don't have a QA department, and there are only 2 of us for a 4-person game, so that was...
They had an extra PlayStation pad as well.
They
Which
did.
Is really good.
They owned 4, which is great.
They were just really great at... we basically signed up with them to help with marketing and PR. They didn't help us with the dev side of things. Well, they would have, but we didn't need the help for the dev side of things. It wasn't like they were like, no, guys, sorry.
So we did all the code and we did all the art.
But they were just really good at putting us in touch with people and getting the game in front of people, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it took us to E3. We wouldn't have been able to do E3 without them, probably, because it's as an indie developer, the cost of obviously going over to America and things.
We could have got out there, but we couldn't have got back.
Yeah, that would have been it. It's a one-way ticket, hanging on the underside of an aircraft.
Yeah.
Any other questions? Oh, there we are. Hello. I'll come down this way. Oh, God, sorry. Yep. Hello.
How did you get in contact with Team 17 to start with?
Just emailed them, I think.
Yeah, they have like a general like indie portal on their website where you can just apply. And then they, at their end, what they do is then look at all of the games. You send them a demo, I think, and then they play them all and like go through and pick what they want to take, what they want to take. Originally, they turned us down, I think, and it was like a year later.
What?
Yeah.
They turned you down?
We got turned down by everyone initially. Not everyone. Everyone, every single person on Earth.
At the time, they were incredibly busy doing ukulele, which is out there. You should play it. It's amazing. But then they came back to us a couple of months later, where they had like space in their schedule, I guess. I mean, it's the same with most publishers, right? They have slots that they can fill, depending on the amount of people. And I think Team 17 are quite selective because they don't do a huge amount of games. So
they really focus on the ones they have. Like they've been really good with us, I think, actually as a publisher. I know a lot of indies are very strongly on the self-publishing route, but actually they were very helpful for us, and they didn't interfere with the design in any way. That was just all on us.
Cool, that's good to hear. Any other questions? Oh, a couple, 3 even. I'll go here first.
Hi, so this is a great game that a lot of people, like a lot of YouTubers, have kind of done lots of playthroughs through with big groups of people. Are there any particular? Have you watched many of those playthroughs, or are there any particular ones that you enjoyed?
Yeah, we should watch a lot of them. Or Phil watches a lot of them. I find them too stressful.
I'm really addicted to it.
I'm terrified.
It's particularly like when the game first came out, we were watching loads of them. I'm trying to think which ones I've enjoyed. I've enjoyed lots of them, obviously.
I remember I Am Cupquake's one.
I Am Cupquake was good. I like Screw Attack did one that really cracked me up because they were just cow chop as well. Those guys are nuts. They're just all over the place. I just basically like the ones where I feel like we have personally driven a wedge between people who are close friends.
That wasn't the intention when we started the game, but it has been fun to do.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting actually seeing like, because there's some groups, some YouTubers that really come together when they play Overcooked, and some of them where like you can see the facade start to drop.
Awesome. There you
go. Sorry to go back to the publisher question, but
Sure.
do you think the game would have existed at all without publisher, or taken longer, and would you still go down that route again?
I think it probably wouldn't have been... So the main thing I think would have been different is with Team 17, we're able to release on Xbox One and PlayStation 4 and PC because of the QA support, because the certification process is quite a tricky process, and just the process of having all of the criteria you have to fulfill and getting it all tested, and then what is wrong with that and what you need to fix, that would have been very difficult without them, I think. We might have got the game out on PC, but it may have disappeared into obscurity as well.
Because originally our plan was that we were going to do a PC release and then do consoles later, but yeah, with their help we were able to do it all at the same time.
I think that's the main difference.
Which is good.
How did you guys come up with splitting the controller in half? Was it because you only had 3 controllers?
Partly.
Partly that, yeah. I think it was just the fact that we had we didn't have 4 controllers. We had 4 Xbox controllers at the time.
Yeah.
But we were aware that a lot of people, especially with the new consoles, you would buy a console with a controller, maybe 2, that we just wanted to make sure that as many people could play it 4-player as possible. And actually one of the things we added that we didn't originally intend is that we had someone who approached us on Twitter that only has the use of one hand, and they were asking us, like, is the game playable with one hand?
Yeah.
And
that made a huge difference, actually, to the design of the control system eventually. We realized that because we'd already added this thing to make the pad split out of just a sense of people wouldn't necessarily have the controllers, that we could also make the game accessible to one-handed players with just a little bit of extra work.
Yeah.
And so we were able to put that in as well. So now it became part of the reason why Overcooked has such a simple control interface of just having 2 buttons primarily and a stick, was trying to hold on to that as well. Partly that and partly accessibility to non-gamers, which is quite important.
Yeah.
I think I've got time for one more question if anyone has one. If not, I can wrap it up. I'm going to do it from... Oh, did someone... yes, thanks. Sorry. Oh, God. You're so far away.
Hey, I was just wondering what the future is for you guys, if you plan to still just work as a 2-man team, or if you're going to try and expand or anything like that.
I think at the minute we're just planning to stay as 2, but it really depends on what we do next. I think we've always sort of said that we're still doing Overcooked work at the minute, so that's really our major focus. But when we move on to next projects, it will be a case of, well, let's figure out exactly what we want and then see where any gaps are. I mean, there's obvious gaps at the moment.
I think whilst we might, I think it's very important for us to stay small. I think a lot of people have a focus on getting bigger and bigger and bigger as developers, and that's not always the best choice, because the moment you do that, the moment you lose your freedom to experiment and make something new. And one of the things that was nice about Overcooked was we made a local multiplayer and we made a local co-op game, and there aren't very many of them, and the reason there aren't very many of them is because whenever we talked to anyone about it, they were like, well, you wouldn't sell that many units. You need to make it single player, you need to make it online. And it's just like, well, we don't want to give up on this game.
Yeah.
And it didn't matter to us.
It was
that
important to us that it existed, right?
Yeah,
I think
it was
that
important
the
it
main thing.
existed, and it didn't matter that it wasn't going to sell like loads and loads of units, because we didn't need it to sell loads and loads of units because there are 2 of us, and that was important. And to be able to hold on to that for future titles is, I think, important to us still.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I think you made the right call there. Good job. Thank you so much to Phil and Ollie. I think that's it for this session. There's an outside Xbox meetup happening after this, but if we could give these 2 lovely gentlemen a big warm round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you.